Fix errors, waste, and issues in a couple of clicks. Get alerted whenever you're off track. Sign up at trueclicks.com.
Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises to manage clients and projects with max efficiency, sharing Wix's SEO tech to help you drive growth.
Okay, for the people in the back, like from here over, can you even see like this edge of the screen because of the podium or not? No? Okay, so if I stand over here, it's probably better, right? So I'm not in front of my slides. Okay, hands up if you've never seen me speak before. Oh, like a lot of you. You're in for a fucking treat. This is not the actual title slide. That's the title slide. Also, by the way, I'm really obsessed with movies. You're going to figure that out in a minute. I have that tattooed on my arm right there. It's super sweet. Come check it out later. But like you said, I'm the Chief Operating Officer. I do speak at a ton of conferences. I have a weekly video series called Local Search Tuesdays. I encourage you to check it out. I share full presentations. I'm doing video tips with a lot of the speakers, so check it out. It's fun and goofy. This is a picture of me speaking at MozCon. It's like a goofy picture. I like it, but I do speak at a lot of conferences. I did 32 2 years ago. I did 25 last year. This is already my 8th conference to speak at this year on my 3rd continent. A lot of the stuff that I do is vertical specific conferences in the States. And at a lot of the conferences for automotive, which is kind of our primary vertical, it's pay to play. You don't get to speak unless you pay some sort of sponsorship fee, which means most of the people are going to put a sales guy on stage, and they are not fun to watch. They're not good speakers. Typically, they're going to stand behind the podium, and they're going to talk really fast and monotone like this, and you really don't understand what they're saying because they don't understand how to do public speaking. And even worse, most of the time, some sales guy put the deck together, and there's no design elements. The background of every slide is plain white. There are no colors throughout. There are no screen captures, no pictures, no nothing. They use Arial font, and they pack every slide with bullet points, and they just sit there and read bullet points the whole time. That's not fun, right? You may not know they've actually proven, scientifically proven, that bullet points kill kittens. So we have no bullet points in today's presentation. So it's going to be super easy. And like I mentioned, I'm obsessed with movies. I was a film major in college. I have over 1,000 movies in my iTunes library. Both of my arms are tatted up with movie portraits. My whole right leg is tattoos from the Goonies. And in 2 weeks, I start my left leg, which is all horror movie villains. So every time I do a presentation, there's a movie theme. And today's theme is sci-fi movies. So if you're a sci-fi fan, you're in for a treat. Another thing that I do is I include at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. But today we're going back 56 years. Anybody know why? Shout it out. Nobody in here is a sci-fi fan. It's because if I'm doing sci-fi, I have to do all the Planet of the Apes movies, so I got to go back a little further. The reason I asked about that is there is attribution to the side, but on that side, you probably can't see it. So not only will you learn some cool shit about audits today, you'll have some awesome movies to watch later. Who's excited? Yep. So are you here today because you need a hand with learning how to do better audits? Get it? Get it? Are you looking up at the bigger agencies saying, and actually, I'm talking about audits, but really it's audits and how it will help you with sales. So do you look up at the other big agencies in awe and think, oh my gosh, how can I ever get there? Because selling SEO is kind of a complicated process. It's a really tough puzzle to crack. And if you're going to do what most agencies do and just float along and just do a simple default demo that's the same as every other agency gives, you blend into the background. And if you blend into the background, you're kind of invisible and you're not really going to be a viable option and you're not going to be able to sell as much SEO. But don't freak out. I'm here to help. I don't want you to lose your head. Oh my gosh, that should get a bigger laugh, y'all. He's getting his head chopped off. That's funny stuff. I don't know why there's like, is that the mouse like screen captured on there? My designer did something weird. But most of the agencies out there, their demos for potential clients are giant piles of shit. I'm going to help you not have a giant pile of shit demo. I'm going to show you the cheat code behind the matrix that we figured out that made a massive difference in our business. So this is the practical SEO session today, right? Now, I'm going to talk about this mini audit that I've created and how it helped us with our sales process. So I need to kind of explain, I need to set the stage. We have these weird little conferences for car dealers in the US called 20 group meetings. And it's because they take 20 different dealerships from separate parts of the company that don't compete, and they get together for these 2 or 3 day meetings, and they bring in speakers, and it's kind of a little conference-y thing, but there's no vendors, and the speakers are really there just to help, not to get leads. So I created this thing years ago, Oh, wait. I've been doing that for like 10 years. I created this thing that I call the scoring matrix years ago. And it was a way, because it's only 20 dealers, I would know who's going to be there. It's a way for me to do a really quick down and dirty SEO audit. So then after I did my talk, and usually at these meetings, it's like a 3 or 4 hour session. And at the end, I could be like, hey, congrats, man. You've got the best SEO in the room. And I'd be kind of embarrassed because yours really fucking sucks. And it was like a fun way to end. But then I could give them their scores so they could go back and talk to their in-house team or to their current agency partner and figure out the things that they could improve because clearly they were making some mistakes. So it's really just a spreadsheet that has some like H1, title tag, it was really simple labels of things that I would score and just give to them. So then I would enter the scores on the sheet. I'm a walker. It's really weird that I can't walk around on stage. It freaks me out to stand still. So I'll go back and forth. But so I would enter the scores on the sheet and just give it to them. But it wasn't entirely helpful because they didn't really understand the terminology that we all use. You know, I would say title tag. Everybody knows what a title tag is, but car dealers are like, what's a title tag, bro? I don't know. So then I'd yell it out at the end and be like, you're great, you're bad, here's the info, and they'd all get kind of confused, but it was still a massive hit. Everybody loved it. Everybody's like, man, this is so great because you're not just coming in preaching at us, you're actually giving us stuff that we can take home and improve what we do. So a few years ago, one of the guys that I've been doing this with for a long time, he had this idea. He called me up. He said, before you come do this meeting, what if we update it? What if we make it better? And instead of just saying title tag, H1, alt text, what if we phrased everything as a question? So instead of saying title tag for the homepage bit, it says, do you have this in the homepage title tag? And then I retooled it to make it make more sense to the noobs that didn't understand how SEO worked. So this is what we would use in this workshop. And then afterwards, for this guy's idea, the second day, we would give this audit matrix out to everyone. And instead of scoring their own sites, they would score the site of the person next to them. So they're scoring each other, but they all understood how to use it because it was phrased as a question and a simple answer. And this was an even bigger hit. Everybody loved it. It really resonated. They were like, man, we've been doing this with you for years, but this is the most helpful thing we've ever gotten at any meeting or any conference ever. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's see what we can do with this. So we actually started getting leads when we never got leads before, because really this isn't something that you go speak at an event and get leads for. You're just there to educate. But we started getting leads. We started getting business. And I was like, might be something to this. What if I started using this for every single demo that we did with potential clients? And there was something to that. It made an immediate difference. We closed significantly more deals. And when I say significant, overnight, it doubled our close rate on demo calls. It was a massive game changer for us because anytime somebody is talking to an agency or talking to multiple agencies because they want to change partners, they want to improve their results, so they're moving on to someone else. Think about what you do, or think about what your sales team does if you're not involved in the sales process. You have some slide deck, you get on a Zoom call, or you go in person, and you run through the slides, and you're like, we're awesome. We won a bunch of awards. We won the European Search Award for Best Local SEO or Best PPC. You should work with us because we're great. Here's what our clients say. We're great. Here's what we do for you. It's the same generic bullshit that everybody says. So now, instead of giving the generic bullshit pitch, we're coming in saying, look, I know you usually get a pitch, but guess what? We've done an audit of your site. These are the things that are wrong, and this is how we propose those things should be fixed. And it blew people's minds, right? They were like, holy shit. And it makes it really easy, the way that I built this, to find humongous opportunities to improve basic optimization that's going to make a quick difference to that business. Which means they're suddenly going, holy shit, these guys are telling me these things are wrong. Here's how they're going to fix it. And here's why it's important. Instead of just going, hey, work with us because we're awesome, right? So it was really great. It looks like we spent a shitload of time. This is not a full SEO site audit where you're spending hours and hours and digging into everything. It looks like it because we're talking about all kinds of shit that looks like we spent a ton of time. But guess what? We didn't. And I purposely built it to only look at tactics, not at strategy. And most people use those terms interchangeably, but there's an important difference. Strategy is which direction are you going, and tactics are which steps do you take to get there. If the matrix was too strategic, it'd be very easy. Like, let's say Simon was someone I was doing a demo with, and I gave him the matrix, and he goes back to his SEO agency, and he's like, hey, look, guys, I got this really shitty score. They said my SEO is horrible, and my site's not optimized at all. It'd be very easy for that agency to refute those results and say, oh, it's like a HubSpot site grader. It's a piece of shit. Or it's like something you got from Neil Patel's team. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, come on. That was a funny joke too, y'all. But it'd be really easy to refute the results. Oh, come on, Simon, they don't know your business. They don't know your customers. Our strategy is good. But because it's basic tactics that anyone that knows SEO would agree, these are the things that should be done, the current agency partner can't argue and can't say ignore it. And besides, your strategy doesn't matter if you don't have the right basic tactics in place. So that's why we designed it this way specifically. So for example, and this is a local SEO audit because we do local SEO. So one of the things you do when you optimize for local SEO is you include a location phrase when you're optimizing the various elements of the site. So for example, one of the questions is there a city in the title tag on the homepage? It doesn't matter what city it is. We're not asking, is the correct city there? We're just asking, is a city there? So that's how it's on the basic side of things. And we also have created multiple versions over the years. So we have one generic one that works for any business, but then we have one specifically for car dealers, one specifically for attorneys, one specifically for healthcare, one specifically for home services. So now we can check more important pages that matter to particular verticals. They're all focused on local SEO, but if you don't do does anybody in here not do local SEO, or are you guys like just here to see me do the Greg Gifford thing, right? Okay, yeah. If you don't do local SEO, you'll see it in a minute. You can update it really easily and take out all the local elements and it will still work for you. Now, there's 4 areas that this matrix evaluates. It looks at the content on your site and how that content is optimized. It looks at the links that are pointed to your site. It looks at your Google business profile, which obviously you can take that out if you don't do local SEO. And it looks at your reviews. And those are the things that are important for local search visibility. Then those scores are weighted to approximate the importance of each of those areas. Like obviously content far outweighs links when it comes to local. Then the scores are added together. You get a score of anywhere from 0 to 100 points, but 100 points is effectively impossible. There are too many things that have to align, and in automotive and in legal in the US, you have to use certain website vendors, and you can't really do any technical SEO because all these platforms are hand-coded and they're all pieces of shit. So it's unlikely that you're ever going to see 100. But if best practices are followed, you should be at least in the upper 60s to mid 80s. That's kind of the target range that we should be in. In fact, the highest score we've ever seen in 2 years of using the current version was just an 83.6. That was one of our own clients. The highest non-client score that we've seen was just a 65. But also, there are elements in the matrix that sometimes if you do something right, you get a point, and if you don't do it right, you just get 0. Sometimes if you do something right, you get 0 points, but if you do it wrong, that's something that's pretty detrimental, and we know that's probably hurting your visibility, and you can lose points. So points can be deducted on this matrix. The lowest score we've ever seen was a negative 71.5, and this guy was paying $5,000 a month US for SEO. It was horrendous. So we have scored over 1,200 sites since the beginning of 2022 between people that we've talked to at conferences and demos that we've done with potential clients. So looking at all of those numbers in aggregate, the average score is only 18 out of 100. It's really bad, really, really bad. So the on-site section, like I said, is the content, and it includes a check of the homepage and the About Us page and a primary product or service page, depending on which vertical that we're talking about. And then those vertical specific versions add in additional pages because like the inventory pages for a car dealer are incredibly important for inventory sales for that business. But like a plumber doesn't have inventory, so you don't have those things. Now, the link section, we're not looking at the total number of links. We're looking at the number of unique linking domains. And those of you that do SEO on big scale sites might go, well, but like with local SEO, we're talking usually maybe a couple of hundred unique websites linking to a site because it's just much smaller scale. Like totally the opposite of the stuff that Will does. Then the Google Business Profile section is your business profile and how it's optimized. And the reviews section is reviews on Google and Yelp and how you respond to those reviews. Does anybody know why I look at Yelp? It's a really quiet room. The reason we look at Yelp is because anyone that looks up directions on Apple Maps in the United States, the review stars on Apple Map come from Yelp, not from Google. That's why we evaluate that, because we know there's a lot of driving directions that come through Apple Maps. So outside of the United States, it could be TripAdvisor, Foursquare, OpenTable, a lot of other sites. So you just need to go and do a Google search or do an Apple Map search for the business, but for a generic term, so you see multiple businesses, and just look at what the source of the review stars are and change and evaluate that site instead of Yelp. So update that Yelp section if it needs to be updated. Also, for those of you that are fans of ET, I've got that right there. Someday I won't need slides. I could just point to tattoos while I talk. So every element, like I said, is labeled as a question. So it looks like this. Is the city in the title tag? Is the city only there because the city is in the name of the business, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's a drop down with possible answers. So that means the dealers can fill it out themselves and not have to understand which score goes where. Those scores are automatically assigned based on the answer. So it looks like this. City in the title tag, 1 city, 2 city, 3 city, or no city. And it will change the score based on whichever thing you're selecting. Now, there are some things in here that are not purely SEO. We do look at best practices on conversions as well. Because again, we want to make it look like we spent a ton of time evaluating this site, and we want to be able to uncover obvious opportunities where we can help and we know we can win that client. So the first time you use this, I'm going to share it with you so you can take it home. The first time you use it, it's going to take a lot longer to fill it out. But once you've done it a few times, it's 10 minutes or less to evaluate one single website. It's awesome. So the first page of the matrix can show multiple businesses, and then there's a tab in the spreadsheet for each individual business. That lets you compare multiple businesses, and you can see here, the on-site section is worth up to 44 points, and then there's bar graphs that will show you how far off you are, and you can compare how everything looks between multiple businesses, because we do have a lot of businesses that we work with that have multiple locations, or car dealerships that own multiple different locations that all have separate websites, so we want to be able to compare that. Now, each individual tab at the bottom displays the scores with the questions and the drop-downs for each of the individual websites. I also included a notes section in there because as we're evaluating, we'll see things that are more on the strategy side that didn't make them lose points, but are still obviously fucking stupid. So we can go in the notes section and be like, hey man, this is really idiotic. Like, this is really bad. You need to fix this, even though you didn't lose points on it. So today, we score every single potential client that we're going to do a demo call with. Every single one, no matter what, 100% of the time. Half of the demo calls, we're just talking about the audit, and we do that first before we even talk about what our services look like. And then we come back and say, well, here's how we're going to fix it. Clients love it, or potential clients love it, because it's manually done. It's not a bullshit HubSpot SiteGrader or whatever SiteGrader. It's specific human intervention on the things that we see on their site. Most people don't trust those site graders. They know they're incredibly generic and that they're not beneficial. So then after we're done with that demo call, we send them their score so they've got it in hand. So not only are we telling them what we found, we're giving it to them. And so if they want to take it and fix it themselves and not call us, we're fine with that. We're giving them free information, which makes us look even cooler compared to everybody else that they're talking to. And about half of the time now, we get calls back. So our sales team doesn't have to go follow these people up because they're calling us back going, well, hey, now that we looked at this, we're seeing this and this and this and this. So they're engaging with us more often proactively instead of making my sales team have to go chase after them. So it's really awesome. And because it's on the tactical side and not on the strategy side, we also explain that a good score doesn't necessarily mean you're magically going to jump to the top of search results. It just means that the right best practices are in place so that your strategy will actually influence your results at that point. It's also a really killer tool for our internal team because the matrix is always filled out either by the director of SEO or myself. So you have a very high level of expertise doing the matrix. And then when a new client starts with us, we've got this matrix that's filled out that they can use as a guide for the first things they need to do to knock out the low-hanging fruit and the big problems that we found. So now we're selling clients, hey, we're going to fix these problems, and then we can immediately fix all of those problems. And then we rescore those sites after 2 months and come back to the client and say, look, your score has gone up 45 or 50 points. So then even though at the beginning there's not a lot of ranking improvement and not a lot of conversion improvement, they see improvement through the scores that they're watching. So our team's expectation is to get it up to at least mid-60s. So if you'd like to check it out, and I know on this side of the room you won't see this, but you can get the slides. There's 2 links in here. The generic version will work for any local business, and then I also shared the auto dealer version so you can see how we adjusted the scores. And another cool bit on the auto dealer version, there's multiple types of dealers. You've got new car dealers, you've got used car dealers, and you've got used car dealers that don't do service. And there's a little drop down that lets you select it, and it changes the math so that like a new car dealer is going to have new car and used car inventory page. Used car dealer only has 1 page, so you're not filling out part of it, but this will adjust the score so it still scores correctly. So you could compare the two, see how we adjusted them. Use it for prospects, use it for your own teams, change it for traditional SEO prospects. Spending a couple of minutes before will make a massive difference on your sales calls. Now, I know I went through a lot. Hopefully that was not breaking anyone's brains or exploding your brains. Has anyone in here not seen Scan? Probably most people haven't seen Scanners. Literally his head explodes. It's super awesome. The truth is out there about how to use audits to be better at selling your services. I've given you the key to succeed so that you'll all be able to grow your agencies. You'll be able to break out of the shell of giving bullshit demo calls, and everyone will live long and prosper. Thanks so much for listening today. You can't see it on that side of the room, but here's my email address. I have an open email policy. If you ever have questions, pop me an email. Make sure you get the slides because there's a list of all the movies at the end. Thank you.
Demand Sphere. Limitless visual insights from the SERPs. Unlimited dashboards and users. Easy to use and easy to scale your growth to new levels.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.